I can't feel the glow. Ooh, walking shoes. Sunrise paints the buildings gold. Another day begins to bloom. Story waiting to unfold. Another city, another room. Let's go, there's no time to waste. The world's a book, let's turn the page. Another day, another place. Another smile on my face.
Much better, but onto our left there are these chimneys that you will notice here and there. As I said, we will get a much better look as we get further on. Towards our left, which you will notice that there is a NATO air base in this area. Now, this area may be even more significant than the area that is full of oil rigs, because this is not much in the economic state as it is more in the fact that it is very, very important to the Albanians. This originally actually used to be a Soviet Union air base, because as you will notice, as you might have noticed, Albania is a very mountainous place. So we have a lot of mountains, we have a lot of hard terrain, so it is hard to drive. And especially during communism, there weren't any roads, and there weren't even any cars. There was only a total of 5 cars in the entire country, and all of these 5 cars were of government officials that lived in Tirana. So this area was made by the Soviet Union so they could fly in and claim all the oil that they had heavily invested upon. Now, after communism ended, this area was overtaken by NATO and it was modernized, it was changed. But still, it remained as one of the most significant places because this is where some of the first ever planes have landed here. And you will notice that this is one of the first ever planes to ever land in Albania. Now, this area is very well known for that fact, and it has grown since then. Of course, Albania has grown as a country economically and culturally, but still look to the past to see where we came from and what we currently have, which is a great alliance with NATO that have modalities that we have here. So these seras are used to be able to make produce such as vegetables and fruits, mostly vegetables, and the dam that you see on your left is used to be able to distribute the water throughout the surrounding farmland. Now, the water is distributed through metal pipes. As you can see, this entire area is very rich in agricultural and feasible land. You will notice also that there are these metal towers everywhere, which I will explain a bit as we get further into the area. This is known as the area of Kuchov, which is one of the richest areas in Albania when it comes to natural resources, because in this area you will notice that the metal towers, as we move through them, are actually oil rigs. Now, these oil rigs actually were made during communism. Now, communism will be one of our reoccurring themes on today's tour, because a lot of the infrastructure was influenced by the time that Albania had back then, and these oil rigs were actually an investment made by the Soviet Union. Once they discovered the oil in the area, they invested heavily upon getting and extracting as much oil as possible. That is why today this area is very rich, and you can see these metal towers throughout the entire area. Now, as we move through, we will see also something else that is very interesting that relates to this area specifically, and I will talk to you all a bit more once we get there. Thank you. can get a much better look on the surrounding areas facilities. These are an interesting look to the past, but still, of course, Albania has moved a lot since then, as this entire area is mostly occupied by the ex-factories that used to be here. Now we should be about 20 minutes or 30 minutes away from Beach. Once we get there, I will talk to you all a bit more about Beach itself, and from there on I will explain once we get there. Thank you. I also wanted to let you know that in about 15 minutes we should be at the castle, and I will let you know once we are at the castle so I can tell you our itinerary for today. Of recommendations once we get down to the city. So these recommendations are on places that you might want to visit and dishes that you might want to try. But of course it is up to you how you spend this time. It will be 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I will tell you all the specific time that we are going to meet and the specific location. Thank you. We're about to stop soon. Please remember the drop-off spot because it's where we are going to meet, and please respect the time that we set because the area that we are going to stop does not have a lot of time to park, as the police might stop us and they might find the driver. So if you can come like 4 minutes earlier, 5 minutes earlier, it would be great. It's up to you, of course, for as long as you are on time. Now we are going to set the meeting time.
Certo, düşünecek.
Auto.
4th century, and it was finished around 13th and 14th centuries. Now, besides being a castle, you might notice that there are houses on the surrounding area. This is because it was also a citadel besides being a castle, meaning that there was an entire city inside, people living, so not only the wealthy or royalty, only everybody. So everybody was allowed inside the castle. Now, these houses that have been inside of the castle have been passed down generation after generation, and that is why there are so many cars coming and going, because some of the people that have inherited these homes have turned them into hotels, some have turned them into bars, but all of this has been done before 2008, because in 2008 the castle became part of UNESCO, meaning that it no longer could be altered from the outside, so it could keep its cultural heritage and preserve its importance historically and of course culturally for the people of Berat and of course tourists and everybody who visits. Now, this castle has been influenced by a lot of things, but religion especially, and we will see that as we move through, as I will be showing you all one of the most influential figures in the history of this castle, of Albania as well, but especially to this castle, religious wise. So please follow me as we move towards our next destination. If you already did it, you can change it. As we move through, we will see some kids that have worn traditional clothes. People know him, Constantine the Great. He was the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity, and why he is so important to this castle is because, just to give you a bit of a background, Albania, before it was named Albania, it was actually called Illyria. And the people of Illyria were mostly tribes people, so they moved around a lot, they were not really united, they did not believe in any particular faith. They were mostly pagan, that is why they had the sun in their shields and in their banners. But when Constantine came to Albania, or to Illyria, and the Romans conquered the Balkan Peninsula, they converted 95% of the population to Christianity, and that is why his influence is most evident in this castle, because there are a total of 43 churches in the entire castle. Now, some of these churches, since it has been hundreds and hundreds of years, have not survived because Albania has gotten a lot of earthquakes, but actually a lot of them have due to their infrastructure. And we will be seeing some of these structures and churches as we move through. Actually, two of them are right above us, so if you please follow me, I will explain a bit more in their infrastructure. Right now it's like 45%. Yes, so like 55 to 60%. But Christianity has been on the rise. Like this.
Are we able to get in there? You see it?
It seems that it's closed. Yes. That are right next to us. The one to my left is St. Nicholas Church, which was built around 16th century, and the one to my right, the older of the two, St. Mary's Church, which was built around the 13th century. Now, what you will notice, and what might seem odd at first, is that these two churches are right next to each other, which is something unusual, because usually churches are far apart as people have more chance to go on different locations. But inside of the castle, the reason why there are so many churches, when we entered, I mentioned this, besides being a castle, is also a citadel. So people inside of the castle had much more economic prosperity than the people outside of the castle. As there was way more law and order here, people were way more focused on gaining more and more economic prosperity, and that is why they started building. And since all of them were Christian, a lot of them converted their homes into private churches. Now, what you will notice about their infrastructure is that they have been built with a lot of wood, just like St. Nicholas's Church, and with a lot of red bricks, just like St. Mary's Church. And these were believed to have elastic properties. As Albania gets a lot of earthquakes, we of course have a lot of difficulties with earthquakes as a country, and even in modern times they are pretty dangerous. So you could imagine back then they were catastrophic, thus the people were not trying to take any chances, and they made their buildings as stable as possible with red bricks. And apparently they were right, since it's still standing. Something else that I want to show you about the infrastructure is, if you will notice, for example, here there is a very large stone slab at the bottom of the door. So if I wanted to enter this church, I could not do it properly without bowing my head first to be able to enter the church. This is something that is done intentionally, actually, by the owners at the time that made the churches, so everybody pays their respects once they enter inside of the church. Now, something else very interesting about the infrastructure is, if you follow me, you will see on the side of St. Mary's Church there are some holes. Now, these holes, some of them are because some stones have fallen over. As I said, we do get a lot of earthquakes, but actually a lot of them are intentional, as you will see here and here. Now, they have been blackened out because the candles that they placed inside of the walls. Now, some people did not have time, for example, to enter inside of the church. So what they did is that they placed the candles in the walls and they said a prayer. And the candle will not be put out by the wind or by the rain. That is why the holes have been blackened out. Now, whoever wants to visit the church afterwards, we are going to have a 20-minute break at our next stop. Of course, it is up to you. So if you please follow me, our next location will be the Onofre Museum, which I will explain a bit more in detail once we get there.
Si no hubieran, si 50 guiris como nosotras, estos en un fotón. Con esto, un puntito de fuga y clic.
All right, everybody. Just one more minute. Make sure everybody's here. All right. So I wanted to talk to you briefly about the location that we are in right now and why you might want to check it out if you want to, since it is an optional attraction. This is Onofri's museum. Now, who was Onofri? Why he is important is Onofri, this actually originally used to be a church because Onofri used to be a priest. Now, besides being a priest, he was also a traveler and most importantly, an artist. Now, he is one of the, if not the most influential artist in Albanian history due to the fact that since he traveled a lot, he went to Bulgaria, Romania, Serbia, Greece, and most importantly, the one that affected him the most was his travel to Italy, as he went to Italy, to Venice, during the Renaissance time. Now, during the Renaissance, the European artists were focusing a lot on portraying the human body as beautifully as possible through art. So Onofri was heavily inspired by this. And when he came back to Albania, he implemented works of the Renaissance into his own artworks, creating his unique, complete art style. Now, why his art style is so important is especially due to religion, because most of his paintings are portraying religious figures and religious events from the Bible, such as biblically accurate angels or biblically accurate events that are described in the Bible. Most of his paintings consist of Jesus and his apostles, so whoever is interested, inside you will find artifacts such as books that were written by Onofri, painted by him, and cups that were forged on Onofri's instructions. Of course, inside you will also find works that were inspired by Onofri, not only Onofri's works, such as his son's works. Now, in this area, we will have a 20-minute break. Right now, the time is 12:35. We will meet back here at 12:55. Whoever needs to use the bathroom is right up the stairs here.
Under the boughs where the shadows play, the wind hums songs at the break of day. Whispers whisper truths as they flow down. And their songs entwine with the trees that stand, knotted in time by nature's hand. Each echoing step on the forest floor opens a world through an ancient door. The silence alive, yet brimming with sound. In the arms of solitude I am found. Oh, whispering pines, sing me your tune. Caught in the rhythm, the stars and the moon teach me the language of rustling leaves, stories that linger on the breath of the breeze.
Alright everybody, now we are about to enter the area of Acropolis. Now Acropolis derives from the Greek word Acropolis, meaning the highest place. There are a total of 42 churches, but there are also 2 mosques, because the Ottoman Empire sieged the castle 3 times, and on the 3rd time they were successful. When they came inside, they took control of the castle and they built 2 mosques. We will be seeing one of the mosques inside and another one as we move through, so please follow me. Alright everybody, so as I mentioned, over there you will notice the White Mosque. Now the White Mosque stretches all the way from up there, all the way to this side over here. The White Mosque was built by the Ottomans, as I mentioned, when they took over the castle, and since the Ottomans had taken over and had occupied Albania for 600 years or so, after they left in 1912, when Albania gained its independence, the structure was not very well maintained due to the fact that the Ottomans had occupied the Albanians for very long, so some of the Albanians were, let's say, spiteful of their occupiers for a while, thus they did not want to maintain their structures. However, after a while, of course, we understood the importance that it has to the cultural heritage of the castle and more the history when it comes to it as well. Now, if you follow me, we will see the Trinity Church, which is the best preserved church in the entire citadel. As I mentioned earlier, everything that has been done, it has been done before 2008, because in 2008, since the castle became part of UNESCO, no changes were allowed to be made onto the structures. So the Trinity Church is completely undone. I mentioned, that is the Trinity Church. Please do not get too close to the edge because the rocks are very slippery and it is pretty dangerous. You can have some time to enjoy the beautiful view, take some pictures. If any of you want me to take the pictures for you, you can let me know, okay? Thank you. When we got inside of Acropolis, we were able to see the White Mosque. Now we are seeing the Red Mosque. Yes, the Ottomans were really creative with their names. You can see that it was made mostly out of red bricks, as the Ottomans also believed that the red bricks were able to withstand earthquakes and natural disasters way better than any other material. And you can see that the other part of the mosque that was not built out of red bricks has mostly collapsed besides the main tower. You can see that it has stood the test of time, and not only is the main tower made up of red bricks, but if you see also on the sides of the walls there are red bricks everywhere. Because even if it was to have difficulties in the structure, if an earthquake hit, for example, it would stand until it was later on repaired, at least. So it was a really good material that the Ottomans also implemented. Now you can see that the Red Mosque has withstood the test of time mostly height-wise, while the White Mosque was more width-wise. As we move, we will see one more building quickly before we arrive down to our final destination.
tar vi det hårt nu. Hon tar vi det hårt nu.
You will notice how there are a lot of windows on the Orissa side. When we get down to the city, we will have also see the Bangalore side. But basically, why people did not have electricity, so it was pretty dark. And you can see this hill over here was blocking the sunlight even if it was the middle of the day. So even it was like 2 p.m., 3 p.m., it would be covered in darkness. So people started making holes in their wall. More and more people started doing it, and it became a trend. That is why also the side of Mangalemi started doing it. But of course, the sun was a major part due to lack of light. Now, besides this, I also wanted to show you, as I earlier mentioned, Albania had some difficulties with religion during communist times. However, after communism ended, Albania has never had any issues with religion whatsoever, and that is very well displayed over there. You will notice a mosque and a church about 20 meters apart from each other, where there are the white lines. This just displays how here two friends can be of whatever religion. It doesn't really matter for as long as they share the same values. Now, on the right side, you will notice a very large white building that has a very big dome on top of it. That building actually holds a very interesting story, kind of an upsetting story, but a truthful one. How it originally used to be a university, but due to lack of demand, because when communism ended, hundreds and thousands of people left Albania. So over the years, more and more people started living, and there was no more people to go to the university, so it was closed for a number of years. But afterwards it was purchased by a businessman, and now it is actually a 5-star hotel. Besides that, one final thing that I wanted to talk to you all about is a very interesting legend that the people of Berat have been telling for hundreds of years. Since the city of Berat was created, this legend has been here, and it is regarding the mountain over there, the Shpiragu mountain, one of the longest mountains in Albania, the longest, not the tallest, and the mountain over there, the one that has snow on top of it, the third largest mountain in Albania, the mountain of Tomori. Now, how the legend goes is that these two mountains were actually human brothers, Shpiragu and Tomori. Now, Shpiragu and Tomori, being brothers here in Albania, family always comes first, so it is very important, and these two brothers loved each other very, very much. They were great warriors, so they were hunters, they did a lot of stuff together, but one day when they went to the mountain to go and hunt, they saw a beautiful woman that was filling some water in a water source. Now, when they saw this beautiful woman, both of them fell in love with her immediately. And since both of the brothers fell in love, they started competing for her hand, and they started doing friendly competitions between each other. But as it went on, more and more, the brothers started to become spiteful towards each other because they were competing for the same love. And over time, this became into a duel, and the brothers were fatally wounded in that duel. The first one to strike was Shpiragu, who hit Tomori so hard in his chest that he actually made a very large hole. That is why today there is a very large canyon on Tomori's side. Now, Tomori, of course, was really mad at his brother, so he pulled out his sword and he sliced Shpiragu across his body. That is why today Shpiragu has all those lines across it. And what happened is that both of the brothers being fatally wounded, God was really upset at them because, as I said, family always comes first, and they started fighting between each other, so God separated them and turned them into mountains, living in the middle of the city on which they were born. Now, the woman that they had fought over cried and cried so much because she did not ask for any of this. She cried night and day until the river of Osumi was made, separating the brothers both literally and figuratively. Now, this is a legend that the people of Berat have been telling for hundreds of years, so it is up to interpretation on how you want to view it. But it is something very interesting to see how people give meaning to everything. Of course, you can enjoy some time here to see the beautiful view. If any of you want me to take your pictures, you can let me know. And then we will go down to the van so we can head down to the city for your free time.
Sunrise paints the buildings gold. Another day begins to bloom. A story waiting to unfold. Another city, another room. Let's go, there's no time to waste. The world's a book, let's turn the page. Another day, another place, another smile on my face, another road I wanna chase, another day, another place. Backpack ready, sunblock too. Vultures calling out my name. Skies are endlessly blue. Not ever, ever quite the same. Let's go, there's no time to waste. The world's a book, let's turn the page. Another day, another place, another smile on my face, another road I wanna chase, another day, another place, another day, another place, another smile on my face, another road I wanna chase, another day, another place.
So I wanted to show you, from here you can see the Goritsa side, the Goritsa neighborhood, and the Mangalemi neighborhood. From the bridge, from the middle of the bridge, you will get a much better look for whoever wants to go. Of course, some of the restaurants that are on the list are on the Goritsa side as well. There is also Aika restaurant for whoever wants. Here is the Bachelor's Mosque, named that because only assistants and people of the faith that were not married were allowed to get inside. That is why it has remained as one of the very important places here. As I said, the Mangalemi side is the most old part of the city, together with the Goritsa side. This is the main pedestrian walk, which heads towards the center of Berat. Through this way you will find a lot of bars and a lot of restaurants as well, fast foods for whoever wants to try fast food. And I want you all to enjoy your free time. We will meet back together at 3:50 on the location that the van dropped us off. Have fun!
reach out. Ah, ah, ah. Ang galing. Partner. Ay, ng bulikan.
Ba?
Thanks for walking here with me. Every path a